I don't usually talk about recent chapters of BLUELOCK, but after what I just saw, I have to discuss it. Welcome back everyone, I'm your host Raving Geeks, here to discuss the currently new development of Isagi Yoichi and the future direction of the current Bastard vs PXG game. It's been known that Isagi in dire situations has a tendency to activate his main character plot armor. This plot armor is of course his adaptability, which has come to the point where he's innovating his plays on the spot like how he executed his twin gun volley. So what is happening in chapter 282? Well, I'll get into that. And before we get into the video itself, I should mention that you may have not subscribed yet. If you can check to see that you are, that will be greatly appreciated. I also have a BLUELOCK Discord server which you can join that I'll leave a link to down below. Kicking off at chapter 274, this is where we see Rin after his development of seemingly surpassing Isagi by a wide margin once again. He announces that Isagi is no longer his rival, all the while Rin used the destroyer variant of Sai's dribbling technique that Sai used in the U20 game. Isagi falls down, simply too caught off guard to follow Rin, which loses his balance and puts him in a less fortunate position. The Rock, which is Rin, had now sectioned off Scissors, which is Isagi, so Rock has now beaten Scissors, and now Kaiser, who is Paper, is handling Rin's push. I won't apologise if you weren't following that. The whole rock, paper, scissors thing was thrown in the previous chapter of 273. Without Kaiser, the pressure in which Isagi exudes onto Rin is massively dampened. It was acknowledged in Isagi's current state that he's still not willing to die for the football that he believes in which makes for an interesting perspective, as Kaiser and Rin have both reimagined themselves during this match, whilst Isagi has stayed stagnant in his own development. The changes he made upon Kaiser scoring the second goal for Bastard were all regular inputs rather than any new performances. He had the mindset prepared but never had acted upon the situation, as he simply found it to be unexpected that Rin would ever give up a clear goal opportunity to further his growth. Battling with the use of his team's philosophy of logic when the team that he was facing was not one driven by logic. PXG was driven by desire, a want to prove oneself continuously in order to become stronger. It's no wonder that Isagi was never ready for this situation, but upon getting back up, it's a reminder to us who Isagi actually is. Through his failures and shortcomings, he is the person to overcome the odds, as he remarks to himself, Isagi Yoichi, the genius of adaptability. This was implying that his mishap was short-lived, as he was already prepared for the new evolution of his character. But we can also see the focus on this text before this panel, stating that, "I've got to." Seeing this text implied that Isagi is aware he has a version of flow influenced by his own resolve to always adapt. Let's keep moving forward and see what happens. We focus on Rin, Charles and Shido as the collaboration of the three all builds up to a climax where Charles is now intrigued by the factors in Rin's twisted perspective, not merely asking for a pass but now the opportunity to beat a now free Shido. But what was noticeable was that Isagi was on a direct charge towards the two stars of PXG as his new evolution was taking place, teasing towards the situation Isagi got himself in during the third selection match when he first entered Flow. Before I go into chapter 275, a couple ideas were thrown around between BLUELOCK content creators of what Isagi's next step could be, as shown through the visualization of Isagi now having white hair and puzzle pieces taking on his frame. The most appreciated theory out of the bunch was something called OMNIVISION, which Ero has already covered on many occasions on his own channel. Be sure to check that out if you're interested. A cut above the base ability of MetaVision, favouring a much faster input and output of information that takes into account all scenarios as equal instead of picking the most rational or realistic answer to prepare for, as answering to what people deemed as the best option is not always what people will actually choose. Logic was failing Isagi as the players that he was up against wanted the drive of scoring in a situation where everything was revolved around their individual desires, and Rin was purposely making his situation worse by not taking the easy way out. Another name possibly given to this speculated evolvability at the time was the much more goofy title of Meta Brain. I made a thumbnail quite a bit ago that I may not ever use with these two names on it for my own speculation of what Isagi's next step in evolution would be, and it's safe to say that Isagi's only evolution now would be to consider the unlikely as just as possible as the optimal and rational choices, since more players like Rin, Charles and Shido are out there, those who act on instinct and desire, so it was a clear preparation of any future foes with that same mentality. A secondary trait of what this presentation could mean is that Isagi is tapping into his true flow state, or rather another level of flow state higher than the base value, visually being engulfed by his aura like we saw with Bachara and his monster, and Rin with his symbiote Sludge. It's safe to say that this is a solid guess to Isagi's evolution, and that was pretty much all of the script I had before chapter 275 came out. Don't believe me? Look at this. I've since added onto it since the recent release of chapter 282. I suspected the speculated OMNIVISION could actually appear in chapter 275 when Isagi matched off against Rin before his goal, and he kinda did with his approach towards a less logical strike of Rin, favouring my idea that Isagi is taking into account every approach as equally possible. Then past this point we see the slow dramatic fall of Isagi's mentality in this game thanks to Rin's goal, goal, Loki's inclusion, and no one knows true motives, all resulting in Ego commenting on Isagi's current situation, and with chapter 281 seemingly teasing towards Isagi and Kaiser teaming up. But this is not what we actually got. So let's finally move on to chapter 282, where we see Isagi's next stage. Allow me to read you all the translation of what Isagi says alongside showing the relevant panels to pair with it. Kaiser isn't a genius. He's a talented learner who sees the field just like I do. Now that I think about it, everything he's said and done up until now was perfectly understandable for me. Even Kaiser Impact, the fastest kick in the world, is a weapon calculated by the brain. This isn't unimaginable. Sensuous strength like Rin or Loki, but the strongest type of design imaginable to the world. The world. That means talented learner equals world type? Within egos, I thought about the self type and the world type, characterized by performing best to do things that seem worthy to the world. And the logic that drives talented learners, could they be the same thing? It's gotta be this. Wow. I'm getting hooked on this analysis. Geniuses can be found because talented learners are there. They admire each other, confront each other. Because I was fighting with that ego, I realized geniuses and talented learners aren't a hierarchy. They simulate each other in a relative way. My head is clearer. I can do this. Until now, I was trying to compete with the geniuses on their turf, but I'm a talented learner. To show my talent, I need a different way. Genius and talented learner, self-type and world type. If talent and effort won't coincide, nothing can happen. So think like a talented learner. What me and Kaiser, who's the same type as me, can do to fight these geniuses. He started shining this match when he threw away his fixation on me and all of his choices he made up until now. The moment he threw away the semblance of rationality. So I should also get rid of my fixations. My rivalry with Rin, ill will towards Kaiser, and admiration for Noah. Before I throw everything away, right now, what's left in me is, I wanted to win. That's right, Yoichi Isagi. That won't be enough, you freak. You want me, right? Rin, if you're the monster of geniuses, I will become the monster of talented learners. Come, Rin. Let's go. Come fight the new me! Isagi in this new discovery is becoming visually engulfed by his aura. His puzzle pieces are becoming a part of his very being, and his entire speech pointed towards doing exactly what Kaiser did, returning to zero to become a new Isagi Yoichi. In this instance, he is tapping into what I speculate to be OMNIVISION. The functionality of such is still unknown to us, but as I already said, my speculation is the ability is perceiving all possibilities as equally likely. You can compare these very panels from chapter 282 to chapter 274. The same white hair as before. Isagi never previously had taken on this form before this match, making it a new step in his journey, a new evolution, the evolved state of metavision. Since now Isagi is in a situation where he must defend against an irrationally and frankly unpredictable play of Rin, he clearly needs the mentality and ability to stop Rin's charge and also provide a precaution plan in the instance that Loki and Shido would get involved in the playmaking process for this goal scoring attempt. And what better way to factor in all those possibilities than having an evolved variant of metavision that can give you the fortitude and ability to stop all those possibilities, the likely and the unpredictable. And I mean, come on, if Isagi had struggled against Rin before, why would approaching him like this change anything unless Isagi actually had a new contingency plan in motion? This has been one of my favourite manga chapters in recent memory, so with Isagi unlocking this speculated OMNIVISION, what could be next? Will he manage to handle the playmaking by himself, or will he need some allies in order to make the last ditch push? And will he even be the person to get the final goal? Let me know your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and until next time, peace.